Hello and happy December solstice. I have a challenge for flat earthers and globe earthers alike. The challenge is to collect data about sunrise and sunset times wherever you are, and to build a map that shows how much sun should cover the earth on a globe or a flat map in order to show how likely it is that the sun is where it is and the earth is the shape it is. Now, personally, I believe that the earth is round, and I'm actually wearing this Beatles t-shirt of Abbey Road on the Moon just to trigger all my Beatles friends. But I definitely believe that the earth is a sphere, and the reason I'm making this video today is because I thought of something that may be a funny way to look at this whole problem. I believe that this problem has been addressed before, but one thing that I don't think the flat earthers have ever considered is that maybe their map is completely wrong. Because if you try to map out the amount of sunlight in the southern hemisphere on the December solstice, I believe you will find out that there's way too much sunlight to ever work with the North Pole as the center of your flat map. So obviously the answer to that problem is to turn that whole thing around and make the South Pole the center of the map. Now this causes a little bit of a problem, because then you have like half the year you would have the North Pole as the center of the in the June solstice, the North Pole would have to be the center of the flat map, and then in the December solstice, the South Pole would have to be in the center of the flat map. And maybe, possibly, the flat earthers could come up with an explanation that had something to do with God being some sort of cosmic DJ who flipped the earth over like at the equinoxes, and so at each equinox God just goes or flips the earth over just like a big record, like a big 12-inch record that the DJ is playing. That would have to be probably the only explanation. Now, I personally do not believe this. I believe the earth is a sphere. But the reason I'm putting this out is because I have become absolutely bored to death with the flat earth debates. The flat earth debates are the same things over and over and over. They just go on and on and on. They're the same exact arguments all the time, and it doesn't seem like anybody is listening to anybody. And I long for the day when Simon Dan says, "I've just heard a new theory." So maybe I'm trolling the flat earth community a little bit to try to get them to come up with a new theory, because we've heard it all before and it's been debunked all before. So if you like that theory, if you think possibly that you could believe that God is a cosmic DJ and he flips the flat plane over in the middle of the year, in the middle of the in between the two solstices on the equinoxes, is just on the A side is the North Pole, and that is when the June solstice, and then they flip it over, and the B side is the December solstice. And I mean, but they flip over at the equinox, so that each side of the Earth can get a similar amount of sunlight coverage. That's my the theory that I'm offering for flat earthers to try to adopt, more because I think it's a silly thing than a realistic thing. The earth is pretty much a sphere, because if you try to map out the sunlight on the sphere, it'll pretty much look like what we know it to look like on the sphere. And the axial tilt on this part of the year is something like something like that. So the the South Pole is getting a lot of sunlight right now. And then in the summer, it's the North Pole that gets the sunlight. So that's what we can figure out by using the globe. As far as the flat map is concerned, the December solstice kind of ruins the whole thing. So if you like my little theory, flat earthers, please adopt it and try to build on it and do something with it, because we really need a new theory to argue against. The ones that you have been, all of the scientifically minded people have already debunked them. I'm a musician. I don't know anything about science. But for the love of God, there's nuclear engineers out there who've been debunking you, and PhDs and professors and all sorts of types of very intelligent people have been debunking you for 5 years now, and you still keep saying the same exact arguments. We need a new argument. We're getting bored. That's all. Happy solstice, happy Christmas, Merry New Year, or however that works. Okay, just one more thing. If a flat earther can make a compelling video where they put the South Pole as the center of their flat map for the December solstice, I will... wait, hold on a second. If they can put that as the center of their flat map for the solstice, and Simon Dan, AB Science, or Bob the Science Guy responds to that video and says that it's a pretty darn good explanation, or anything, just if any one of those guys gives that particular explanation any sort of credit for being a good explanation, I will then write an additional verse into my Flat Earth Wars honoring the work of the flat earther who has actually used that ridiculous concept that I have offered up in such a way that AB Science, Simon Dan, Conspiracy Cats, or Bob the Science Guy, if they actually say, well, that's interesting, that actually seems like a pretty reasonable explanation of the sunlight on that particular day. If you can get one of those guys to say something like that, I will add an additional verse to my Flat Earth War song just for you. The first person who does it. That's it. Happy Christmas. Happy Solstice.